Hi, this is Seymour Toys, and one of my favorite toys again is Outboards, and you've probably heard the news that there's a new Mercury V-12 600 horsepower outboard that they just released. Mercury had a press event at their Lake X facility since the Miami Boat Show was not held this year due to COVID-19. They invited the Marine Press in to give them the demonstration of their new V-12 600 horse outboard. This new Mercury outboard's a big interest of mine. I was in the first front lines of bringing out four-stroke outboards with the little Honda 45 horsepower outboard. You can see a video on my channel. I'll link to it in the description that explains some of the early history of the Honda BF 35 and 45. And at that time, a lot of people felt that you weren't going to get a big outboard. It wasn't ever going to go that way to four strokes. And it was a big sell. I spent a lot of time in the southeastern United States traveling around, setting up a dealer network to start selling four-stroke outboards. So to see a 600 horse, it really is kind of like, oh wow, I never would have thought it, to tell you the truth. But there's many people didn't think it would make it over 100 horse. So, but I guess everybody was wrong. This isn't the first large horsepower engine. You know, Mercury has come out with a 450, Yamaha with a 400, maybe a 450, I don't know, and Suzuki a 350, I believe. So they've gotten bigger and bigger, and then you had 7 Marine out there that had converted automotive engines that were running 600 and 700 horsepower or something like that. So though they were converted automotive outboards, they really weren't designed to be an outboard like Mercury's V12 is designed to be an outboard, not a converted engine. Now, from what I understand, that 7 Marine engines were rather expensive. They were in the $100,000 range. Not that good a fuel economy, and their reputation for durability was not that good. So Mercury coming out, Mercury knows what they're doing. Looks like they've really got a nice design here, and I think it'll be a replacement for the 7 Marine. And I heard $77,000 for the engine. That's cheaper than $100,000, but still out of my price range. Now, as you might know or not, 7 Marine was sold to Volvo Penta, which was then going to take it on and sell it as a Volvo, but then they decided to do away with it. They said because of the COVID-19, so everything was cause of that. But then they were selling a pod type of outboard that they were looking at wanting to push. So I think that the guy at 7 probably heard of Mercury's development of the 600 and decided to sell it off to Volvo, and Volvo bought it and then said, no way they're going to compete with Mercury. So they just decided to close it down. So more power to whoever the guy was. The people were at 7 Marine and cashed out early, because Mercury is a hard competitor to go up against in the outboard industry, or the inboard outboard industry particularly too. The thing I like about these big outboards is kind of like with my Melba Jean, my 24-foot Manitou pontoon, tri-toon actually, is that it creates a new type of boat. And as you can see, these big center consoles with multi-quad engines, 5, 6, geez, some of them, who knows. But anyways, they're pretty popular now, and they seem to have replaced the fountains, the cigarettes, those type of boats. They're now becoming offshore boats. And a more usable boat, and I think a better looking boat. There's some really very nice looking boats in that size range too. Again, out of my price range, but it's nice to look at, and tell you the truth, if I could afford it, I probably wouldn't buy one anyways. But they are nice to look at, and as long as somebody else runs it, I'll go for a ride. I've copied the presentation off of Brunswick's Mercury V12 site, and you basically scroll down it and it shows you the engine. A few things to say about it. This is their land-on page for the V12, and it goes beyond your expectations. It's not a bad looking engine. It's got the cowlings on it and rather straight lines. Follows their normal form of their smaller engines. I watched Mercury's almost 13-minute long video on the engine, but it didn't really give you any technical specs on the engine. This part coming up probably gives you the most information about the inside of the engine that I've seen. I would guess a 60-degree V, looks like 4 valves per cylinder, and a cam chain on the bottom. Doesn't look like flywheels on the bottom. They have a pretty large flywheel at the top, which could cause some concern. Yamaha had a systematic problem with their flywheels breaking apart on their 350 horsepower V8s. It's what they call RTV, resonance torsional vibration. That's probably why Mercury went with the V12 configuration. Engines having an even number of cranks, like an inline 6, an inline 8, a V12, or a V16, have cranks that are arranged symmetrically so that the moving masses balance each other out. However, in real life, the moving components always have some weight variations due to the manufacturing tolerances. This can be strong enough to excite the engine to vibrate when the running speed passes a resonance frequency of the elastic mounting system. But I'm sure that Mercury knows of Yamaha's problems and they designed around this. Again, probably why they chose a V12 configuration in the first place. The other unknown with this engine to me would be the transmission that's never really been put in place before on this type of application, and the electric steering of the lower leg and how it's going to survive against marine growth and corrosion that is notorious with the environment these engines live in. But again, Mercury knows what they're doing in that department of corrosion and marine growth and design, and most of your cars today are electrically steered also. You have no real direct control of the steering. But this is a first-year product that you're shelling a lot of money out for, so long-term durability would be a major concern of most boat owners. But again, most of these engines, the hours used on them are very low compared to other types of engine hours in the commercial or automotive fields. These engines will be popular with the large center console offshore boat crowd. Probably also have some crossover into the military and police use also. I really don't see it being used in the commercial sense, since there are possibilities such as the Harbor Master Outboard, which is simpler and more durable than anything that would be offered on the recreational side. So, but it's a very interesting engine. I think Mercury's going to do well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.